Hi guys, welcome back for episode number 91 of the weekly playback. As I predicted, I did not play too many games in the last week, so there's not going to be too much to talk about because honestly my memory is too bad to remember how to play games that I played like a month ago, but maybe I'll mention some of the games that I played at PAX Unplugged, which I still haven't talked about, and even before then. So anyway, if you hear noise, that's Zeytoon playing in the background, and the floor here is very squeaky, so if you hear a lot of squeaking throughout the video, just sorry about that. Okay, so I guess I will get started. Oh, you can see Zeytoon right there. See his little tail? Maybe I'll pick him up. Let's see. Zeytoony, you want to say hi? Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come say hi. Come. Oh, what's this? What's this? Tissue? Come. Here, come say hi, you little monkey. Oh, there you go. There you go. This is Zeytoon. So he was born in May and rescued from the second colony of cats that I go to. Yes, yes, he's a little monkey. Okay, there you go. Okay, now Zeytoon has finally made an appearance in a video. Yeah, I see his father every day when I go to feed that colony of cats, and he looks just like his father. Alrighty, let's get started. Let's talk about The Explorers of Navoria. This is a game that is coming on Kickstarter on January 8th from Dronda Games. It is for 2 to 4 players and it's designed and illustrated by Meng Chunlin. So in this game, you have some worker placement going on, some track movement, and set collection. So let me just give you a basic overview of some of the components and then I will get into how it plays. So this is a player board. On each player board, you are going to have 3 trading posts in each section. You will be building out these trading posts. You have contracts to fulfill. You'll be putting in resources here, and when you put in a resource and complete when you put in all the required resources and complete the contract, then you get the reward that is shown in the box here. And if you had any uncovered trading posts, you will also get the reward shown there. So for example, if you had a sword, a gem, and an apple, you would turn those in and you would get 1 track movement in the forest section plus 1 point for every green card you have. And then if you had your first trading post out, you would also get 2 points. And if you had 2 trading posts out, you would also get 1 point for each green card you had, and so on. So you want to try to get trading posts out there, and the resources you're getting are used to complete the various contracts so that you can get those various bonuses from those locations on your board. There are toffee, no. Okay. There are these tiles which will go onto the board, and there's a number of them, so you will have variety in this game. So 4 are going to go onto the board, and these are going to give you end game points if you manage to collect 5 cards of a certain race. So let me see. Okay, so here's an example. So these are just 2 of them, but for example, here is the beast and here is the sprite. So a tile is going to be above each of them. If you were the first person to collect 5 beast cards, you would put your beast token here, and then at the end of the game, you would get 2 points for every pink and green card you had. Now you can only complete each creature type once, and you're only given 1 flag token or ribbon token of each creature. So obviously you can only complete each once. So, you know, the cards have different icons on them, and that's where you'll be adding up your icons to see how many of each you have. And as soon as you have 5, you can complete one of those flag requirements and get those end game points. On the side of the board, so there's going to be spaces for cards. So there's going to be 5 different decks in total. I believe it's 5. So, and there's going to be a stack of cards, and you're going to have 3 face-up cards of each type. So the yellow cards are building cards. These will allow you to build trading posts in the location indicated. So for example, this will allow you to build a trading post in the mountain region. So you would actually remove the top trading post from your mountain region. Sorry, not this region, that's cactus, from your mountain region here, and place it into the mountain area in the first available spot. You always go in order in the various regions. You cannot like skip around. So for example, here is the mountain region. Everyone has their explorers starting at the compass. The first trading post you build would be here. The second one, if you build one in this region, would be here, and so on. So that's what the building cards do, and it looks like some of them or they also give you something else. So for example, this one would also give you a movement in the mountain region, so you can move your explorer one space in the mountain region. This one would let you place a trading post in the desert and give you that resource plus a point, and so on. The pink cards are explorer cards. So these allow you to take movement in the region indicated. So this one would give you 2 movement in the mountain region plus a point. And then at the end of each round, it gives you income. So this one would give you, they all give you the same thing in terms of income. So they give you 1 point per flag, and I'll explain what that means. So pink cards are explorer cards. Blue cards are income cards. So they give you points plus income based on something at the end of each round. So for example, this card gives you 2 points, and plus at the end of the round, it will give you 1 point per human symbol you have in your tableau. So they all give you some kind of income, and so on. And then the green cards are producer cards, so resource cards. So they all give you resources and or points of some kind. And those are the resources that you will be placing up in the various sections of your board to complete those contracts. So again, you can unlock those bonuses and take those bonus actions. And finally, the red cards are what are called battle cards. So they give you end of game points. So at the end of the game, for example, you can do either 2 points, or you can, actually I think that's per. I think that's 2 points per something, not or. Yes, I can double check, but I believe it's 2 points per something. So I think it's 2 points per hut you have, trading post you have in that region. I believe that that's how that worked. I can double check because I'm pretty sure that that's how we scored it. Yes, for each trading post. So these will give you points for each trading post you have in a certain location. So those are kind of like, you know, area control points. So these are the battle cards. So these give you end of game points. That's what that clock means. So how the game is played, there's 3 rounds in each game, and the first phase of the round is the recruit phase. Now in a 4-player game, each player is going to recruit 3 times. So by the end of the recruit phase in 1 round, you will have 3 cards in your tableau. At the end of the second round, the recruit phase, you'll have 6 cards in your tableau. At the end of the 3rd round in a 4-player game, you will have a total of 9 cards in your tableau. So you are doing the recruit phase 3 times in a round in a 4-player game. So what that means is during recruit, there is this bag that's filled with various tokens that match the various colored cards. So you can either draw 2 tokens from this bag and choose one of them to place on a stack of cards that you want to take a card from. So if you, for example, if I wanted to do income, I would take this token, place it on the blue stack of cards, and then take one of the 3 face-up blue cards. And they do not replenish right away. So they are limited to 3 cards per color for each round. And then the other token would go into the town center. Now, that's one option. The other option is if there are tokens in the town center, you can just take a token from the town center and place it on one of the card stacks and then choose a card from that stack. So that way you know for sure what you're getting. So again, you either draw 2 from this bag or take 1 from the town center and place it on a card stack and then take one of the 3 face-up cards. That is recruiting. And of course, if there's anything immediately, you do the immediate effects. Then there is return. Now this part is interesting. Now, starting with the last player and going in reverse order, all the tokens that are on top of the cards, one by one, you in reverse turn order are going to take a token and get a bonus based on that token's color. So of course you get to decide. So for example, let's just look at the pink ones. If I took a pink token from the pink stack of cards, I could put it here and I could get 1 trading post in any location, which is pretty nice because again, you're not limited to a certain location like you would be with the building cards. If the second person to put a pink token out would get 1 movement anywhere, 1 track movement, plus 1 resource of their choice. And the last person, if there's a 3rd pink token and someone puts it out here, they would get either 1 movement or 1 resource. So the various locations provide different kinds of bonuses. So for example, if you took a blue token, those just give you straight up points. So for example, 6 points for the top spot, 4 and 2, and so on. So each of the colors has their own location on the board where you can get the associated bonuses. So for example, here's red. For red, you can get a track movement plus some swords and so on. So each section is going to have those locations where you can then get those bonuses in the return section. And again, you're going in reverse turn order. Then there is the income, where you're going to collect all the income from any cards that show the C symbol, which is the income symbol. So for example, this one, all the pink cards show you 1 point per flag. What that means is, let me just show you a section of the board to explain what that means. So I'll show you this bottom pink section. So in this pink section, you'll see that there is a flag here and a flag here. You're always starting in this way. So you're always starting at the compass by building and moving. So everyone's explorers always start at the compass. And if you're building trading posts in that location, you go in order. So for flags, if your explorer, for example, is all the way here, you've passed 2 flags. So that in the pink section is 2 points. And you're going to do that for every single section. So you're going to do that for the forest, for the desert, and for the mountainous regions. So that's what those flag icons mean when you are getting end of game points for flags. And then after you've done income, so there's again various types of income, then you do maintenance. You're going to move your explorer back to the first space, the compass space, if you have no trading posts in that location, or the farthest trading post you have. So that's why it's beneficial to build trading posts. Because for example, if I had 2 trading posts here, one here and one here, and my explorer was here, I would move my explorer back to the farthest trading post I have instead of all the way back to the beginning, which is nice. So again, because that helps you get those flag points from those explorer cards. So, you know, you probably don't want to move your explorer all the way to the beginning spot. However, in the 4-player game I played, the winner had no trading posts anywhere on the board. So that is income and maintenance. Oh, and then you discard any remaining cards, and then you fill up the queue with new cards. And then you adjust turn order based on score. So whoever has the highest score will become the first player, and so on. And then at the end of the game, at the end of 3 rounds, you're going to do end of game scoring. So, you know, again, you're going to go through all of that. You're going to do return at the end of the 3rd round, income, maintenance, and then your end of game points from any red cards you have. And at that point, that's when you're going to look at these tiles as well. So if you manage to get 5 cards of a certain race and place your ribbon token for that race on those tiles, then you will get points from that as well. And I believe that's it. Yep, and then whoever has the most points will win. It's a super fun game, really enjoyed it. It's just so pleasing to the eyes. I mean, the components in this game are fantastic. Keep in mind, this is a pre-production copy, and I believe in the Kickstarter, you can get these as deluxe components. So you can get wooden tokens for the apples, the gems, and the swords, which I think will be much nicer than these cardboard ones. But otherwise, super fantastic game, so much fun. I think that there is going to be a lot of replayability. Like for example, in the game I played, I had one of my ribbon tokens out for sprites, I believe, and I was so close to getting one more card, but then another player took the card I wanted, so I couldn't get my second ribbon token out to get those end of game points. So, you know, based on the things that you're doing, you're kind of trying to strategize, okay, well, I couldn't get that because someone else took that card. So what can I do? What will get me points at the end of the game? And you're thinking about the reverse turn order and thinking about which bonuses people are going to get from the return by taking those tokens and placing them in the various locations to get those bonuses in the return section of the game, phase of the game. It's a super fun game. Like, I think that there's going to be so much variability that you can play this over and over and just have a lot of fun with it. I absolutely loved it. And yeah, I'm super excited to hopefully play this again. And I learned that there's going to be an expansion, and I have no idea what the expansion does. I'm really curious to find out, and yeah, hopefully play with the expansion when I someday hopefully get a production copy of this game. So yeah, so that is the Explorers of Navoria. Super fun game. I will be doing an overview video for the game's campaign, which of course I was paid for to do the overview video, but of course I'm not paid for my thoughts. So when I say it's a super fun game, I actually really mean it. It was really fun. And I can see why one of the girls who demoed this game at Dronda, she said it's her favorite game of all time, and I can see why. It's just a really fun game, and it's like not you know, I think it'll be good for both people who are just getting into the hobby, but also experienced gamers as well, because you'll be trying different paths to victory in this game. You know, maybe in one game you might want to try to focus on building as many trading posts as you can. In another game you might be focused more on trying to advance, you know, your explorers on different routes and stuff. And so yeah, there's just different strategies I think to explore as well. And the most important thing I think for me is the fact that the artwork is just so freaking stunning. I am obsessed with this artwork. I absolutely love it. I'm just really, really obsessed with it. Especially love the jack-o'-lantern, which is kind of funny to see a jack-o'-lantern in a game that's not, you know, specifically about Halloween. But these cards are just so freaking beautiful. So yeah, so keep your eyes peeled for this game. It is coming to Kickstarter on January 8th. So let's move on. Let's talk about Couture. This is a set collection game that came out in 2023. It is for 3 to 6 players. It's designed by Yusuke Sato and the publisher is All Play Games. And I've played this game now at 5 players and 4 players. So I've played it twice now. This is a really interesting bidding and set collection kind of game. So it's got an interesting bidding mechanic. So there are going to be these 2 tiles placed on the board. They're going to be placed like this. So you will have New York cards, and then in the center between these 2 you will have Paris cards, and then you will have Tokyo cards. So in each section you're going to have 3 cards which you are bidding on. So this is going to be in the center of the table, and in each round there will be 3 cards in each city that you are bidding on. And each person is going to have cards in their hand, bidding cards. So for example, this is Delphine. So each person starts the game with 4 bidding cards. So the 4 bidding cards you start with, you'll have your own model. So this is Delphine, and you'll see the bidding value in the corner. And then you'll see small numbers on each card, which are tiebreakers. And each person is going to have these 2 cards in their hand. So for each round, you are going to move around your bidding cards secretly and decide which cards you're bidding on. So for example, if I did my cards like this, that means I am bidding simply 1 card, a value 2 on the New York cards. And then for Paris, I just have this card, and then for Tokyo, I have these cards. So I would add up the values. So that's where the bidding mechanism is really interesting, because you will be doing it secretly in your hand and then revealing at the same time. And then you will see who has the highest value in each city. And there's only 3 cards to get. So for, you know, in a 5-player game, for example, you know, if everyone bids on Tokyo, only 3 of those players are going to get cards, and it'll be the players with the 3 highest bidding values. And if there's a tie, that's when you look at the smallest number, and the person who played cards that has the lowest number on their cards will get to select first in case of a tiebreaker. If only 1 person bids in a certain area, they get all 3 cards. If 2 people bid in a certain area and no one else bids, then the winner will get 1 card, then the second person will get to take a card, and then the winner, again, the top person will take the remainder, the leftover card. If no one bids, then those cards just get discarded, which has happened. There's been a time when no one bid on any cards in a certain city. So let's talk about the cards that you are bidding on. So the cards that you are bidding on are a variety of cards. They could be bidding cards, in fact. So you could be bidding on other bidding cards, which are more powerful. Like, for example, this one. So this one will give you a value of 4, but if it's still in your hand at the end of the game, it'll be worth -2 points. If you win this card at the end of the round, if you decide to keep it, you must discard another bidding card from your hand. That is what that symbol means. You may decide not to keep this and instead just discard this instead. So you may end up discarding some of your starting hand cards. So you'll be bidding on bidding cards, and some of the bidding cards can add value to your bids with certain symbols like that, and I'll explain what that means. So for example, these Haute Couture cards. Let's suppose you are bidding in a section where there are 2 of these Haute Couture cards. If you use this card to bid on that section, since this symbol matches those symbols in that city, it would add 2 to your bid value. So for example, if this was the only card I played in New York and these were 2 of the cards in New York, then my bid value is actually 4 instead of 2. Now let's suppose that these were all the cards in New York. If I win that bid, it doesn't mean that I have to take a card with that symbol on it because I used this card with that symbol on it to bid. It simply means that it just adds +2 since these cards with those symbols on it were in that city. So I could even end up taking this if I won instead of the cards with that actual symbol on it. So whenever you see bidding cards that have like a thread or a shoe or something like that, that just adds a value to your bid if cards with that symbol are present in that city when you are bidding in that city. So that's what that means. Haute Couture, you are basically just trying to get as many of these symbols as you can because at the end of the game, you have these magazine tiles. So some of these magazine tiles will be scored at the end of the game and some of them during the game. So for example, Haute Couture, if you are the first place winner of Haute Couture and you have the most thread symbols, then you will get 7 points. If you are the second place, you will get, I believe it's 5 points, and then in the third place you will get 3 points. These tiles are out of order, so I cannot remember exactly. But that's how Haute Couture works. So those will be counted at the end of the game. There will just be these straight up point cards, which are editorial cards. So those just give you straight up 2 points. There are cards like this, which are brand cards. So whenever you see a purse and you see a different symbol underneath it, those are different brands, and you want to try to get as many different brands as you can. And that will give you a certain number of points at the end of the game, depending on how many different brands you have. So let me just get that brand tile. So this shows you how many different points you will get for the number of different brands you have. So for example, if you have 5 unique brands, you'll get 8 points, 4 unique, 6 points, 3 unique, 4 points, 2 unique, 2 points, and just 1 brand, 0 points. So that's how brand cards work, and you are looking at these symbols, not the purse. The purse just indicates that that's a brand card. Moving on, we have, so here's just another example of a card that would add 2 to your bid value if you bid on a section in a city that had brand cards. Here are some flops. You want to avoid these because the person with the most flop cards will get the top flop tile at the end of the game, which is you're going to subtract the most amount of points then. So first place flop will lose 5 points at the end of the game, and so on. So you want to try to avoid getting flops. So for example, if there's a flop card in Paris and only 2 people bid on Paris, then obviously the person who had the highest winning bid is going to end up with a flop card because the second highest bid is not going to select the flop card. So that sometimes happens, which is no fun. And then finally there's streetwear. So you can see with streetwear, there's a shoe in the corner and then different letters. As soon as you have matching letters, so if, for example, if you had 2 A's, then you would take the top streetwear card. So those are taken throughout the game. So for example, let me find the streetwear tile. So if you had 2 matching streetwear cards, you would immediately take this tile, and that will give you 5 points. And again, there's 3 tiles for each scoring thing. So the second place streetwear would give you, I believe, 3 points, and so on, but I cannot find it. Yeah, here's second place, 3 points. So that's how streetwear works. So that is essentially the game, and you are going to end up going through the entire deck of cards, and that's how you know the game will be over. I believe it's 7 rounds total, but the deck of cards itself serves as a game timer, so you don't really need to worry about keeping track of rounds because the entire deck of cards will be used up, and that's how you will know that the game is over, and then you will go to final scoring. So that's when you will see who gets the flop tiles, who gets the Haute Couture tiles, you'll get your unique brand points, and then you know, the streetwears you would have gotten throughout the game, and then you'll see who has the most points, and then of course, you know, you'll subtract for the flop points, and then whoever has the most points will win. I really suck at this game. The first time I played it, I scored, I believe, 4 points, and then the second time I played it, I believe I scored 8 points. Let me see. So I came in last place both times I played this. So yeah, the first time I played it, yeah, I scored 4 points, and the second time I played it, I scored 8 points. The winner the first time I played it scored 22 points, and then the winner the second time I played it scored 17 points. And that just happened to be the same person both times. So yeah, so I really suck at this game, so I don't know what a good strategy is, but it's a really fun game. You know, sometimes I will, like in the last game I played where I scored 8 points, I was really more focused on trying to get as many different brands as possible. I just feel like maybe I should have focused more on trying to get higher bidding cards in the beginning of the game, because as the game was progressing, I just kept on losing bids to other people, and I just was not getting cards. Like there would sometimes be a round or two where I would not win a single thing, so I would not get to add anything to my tableau or to my hand, which is pretty detrimental in this game. But it is such a cool bidding game. It's got a very cool bidding mechanism with just keeping the cards hidden in your hand and using the two different location cards to to secretly indicate where your cards are going to be used for when you all reveal your cards at the same time. So this was a review copy. I did pay for the deluxe components myself, so these are part of the deluxe components, and then the larger magazine tiles with the spot gloss or holographic stuff is part of the deluxe edition. With the regular non-deluxe, you get the smaller magazine tiles, which do not include that holographic font. And then for the city, you would just have 2 cards instead of these nice wooden tiles. So yeah, so that is Couture. So if you enjoy small box games that are fun, and this is a really good bidding game, so if you enjoy bidding games, then I would highly recommend Couture. So let's move on. So another game I played recently is Neotopia. That is a 2023 game for 2 to 4 players designed by Orlando Sa and Andres Santos. The art is done by Tiago Lobo Pimentel, and it is published by Mibo Games and I believe Arcane Wonders and Madagot. So this is an interesting abstract game. So you're going to have hand management, pattern building, tile placement, and action points. So I don't own this game, so I will throw up some pictures. So you're going to have this board that has, basically 3 sections. And in each section, you are placing these round tiles to create different patterns and score points. Each player is a different color. So for example, I was like the pink purplish color, and the tiles don't necessarily belong to you as you're playing the game, but at the end of the game, you're going to score points for the largest grouping of your color tiles in each section. So other players may, when they place tiles, might not want to place your tiles next to each other because they know that that's going to mean points for you. So that's, an interesting thing going on in this game. So you start the game with 3 pattern cards, and you are trying to complete these patterns in various locations. And there's going to be basically it looks like a windmill, and there's going to be 3 tiles on each wing of the windmill, and in the center you'll see 4 tiles on top, and those are the tiles that will then come out and replenish an empty wing whenever a wing is emptied, and then so on. And you're just going to keep on putting on new tiles as indicated from the the cardboard tile, which will indicate to you which color plastic tiles will go on the center that will then replenish any empty wings. So on your turn, you have 3 action points. You may get these bonus tiles, these cardboard bonuses that are scattered around the board. If you place, for example, an acrylic tile on one of those, you then get the cardboard tile, and that may allow you a bonus action, so an additional action of some kind. It may allow you a specific additional action. So for example, it may allow you to take a colored tile from its pool and place it anywhere. So that would be like an additional action, but specific, whereas some of them will just say an additional action. So for your additional action, you would just take a regular action as your additional action. So the actions available to you are either to draw a card or to place a tile. So you'll take one of those tiles from those wings and place it into one of the 3 sections. You get 3 actions per turn. So you can either take a card or place a tile, and if you complete a pattern, then you score it immediately. However, you cannot complete a pattern in a certain location if someone had previously completed a pattern of that type before. There are 3 different types, so they're indicated by the artwork on the different cards. So if someone had already completed one type before in a certain section, you cannot now complete a card of that same type in that section. So you would not be able to score until someone else or you complete a different type of card in that section first. So that makes it a little bit tricky as well. As you're keeping track of score, you'll be advancing your score marker in each section, and you know, there will be bonus tiles for you to collect if if there are any left after you reach a certain number of points in the various sections. So that's another way to get those bonus action tiles as well. So basically you're just going around and around until game end. Until game end. The way it scores is interesting. So at the end of the game, you're going to look at your points in each section as you've been keeping track. So there's a point tracker in each section at the bottom of each section. So the area in which you scored the largest points, you will just straight up get that number of points. And then in the middle area, you'll just, I believe, get that number of points as well. And then it's the lowest area, I believe, where you double the number of points. So, or triple the number of points or something like that. So I can't remember exactly that. I'll see if there's a rule book here that I can just look at, because I can't remember if it was double or triple. Let's see if I can bring that up. So that's an interesting scoring mechanism. And then again, you will look at, your largest grouping in each section and get points for that. I can't remember if there's anything tricky with regards to your largest contiguous tile type in each section. And again, throughout the game, it's not like you own them. So people can be putting down your color tiles in a certain section, and you have no control over that. So you may want to try to place down tiles that complete contracts, which will put your tiles next to each other in a certain section so that you can get more points from that. If you had any bonus tiles with those bonus actions that you didn't use, those would be worth 3 points at the end of the game. So yeah, so let's go to final scoring. So 3. So multiply by 3 the score of the region where they have the lowest score. So yeah, so your lowest score will be multiplied by 3. So that's what happens there. Yeah. So yeah, it's just an interesting kind of abstract game in which you're just trying to put down tiles and complete different patterns. I thought it was fun. I really enjoyed it. In the beginning of the game, I was kind of worried that oh no, people are just going to keep on messing me up. I'm not going to get to complete any patterns. But there were, in a 4-player game, I believe that there were always 5 cards visible, if I remember correctly, for you to choose from. So if you couldn't complete a pattern, you could always maybe take another pattern card that might be able to be completed a bit easier based on what you see in the various sections. However, if you are scoring something, you can only score a pattern card if you contributed to that pattern. So for example, if there's a scoring card available and you see that pattern already exists on the board, you can't just take it and then score it immediately if you didn't contribute a tile to that pattern. So you have to contribute a tile to the pattern in order to score it. So yeah, it's just a basic abstract game with just a little bit of a twist in terms of scoring and stuff like that. I thought it was fun. So yeah, so if you enjoy abstract pattern building tile placement games, then you might enjoy Neotopia. So yeah, so check out Neotopia if that seems like it's up your alley. So let's move on. So I'm just going to talk about some games that I played at PAX Unplugged very briefly that I thought were fun, but it's been too long for me to remember exactly how they play, so I won't go into deep gameplay for them. But I did get to finally play Havalandi, which was a game I had my eyes on at Essen Spiel. So Havalandi is a Rainer Knizia game. 2023 game published by Pegasus Spiel. It's for 2 to 4 players, and basically you are trying to place out balloons in various regions of the board and score points with clever placement of your balloons. You're rolling a die to kind of see where you can place those balloons actually, and you're trying to create groupings and then trying to score your different groupings of balloons by making them lift off and so on. So it's an abstract strategy game, which I thought was pretty fun. So I played a 4-player game of it. It is for 2 to 4 players. And I played a 4-player game of it at PAX Unplugged, and I thought it was super fun. And I actually ended up winning, in fact, which was fun. So I won with 52 points, and then the next scores were 2 players had 49, and then the last player had 47. So yeah, so you're also, when you're trying to get certain groupings together in order to make your balloons lift off to score points. And then I believe at the end of the game, there was some points you would get at the end of the game for something. I cannot remember right now, but it was very fun. I thought it was a fun abstract strategy game in which you're trying to place out different things. So if that sounds like something you might enjoy, again, check it out. Another fun game that I played at PAX Unplugged was Wandering Towers. That's another game that I've had my eyes on for a long time and was very curious about. So this is a 2022 game designed by Michael Kiesling and Wolfgang Kramer. Oh, that's a duo whose games I usually enjoy, so no surprise there that I guess I enjoyed this game. The art is done by Michael Menzel, and it's published by a few different publishers, but in the US, I believe you can get it from Capstone Games. So this is a really fun game in which you are trying to get your wizards to Raven's Keep as quickly as possible. So you have these different towers that will be wandering, like they'll be moving, and your wizards will be moving as well. You're playing cards to either move the towers or move your wizards, and you're trying to get your wizards into Raven's Keep first in order to win this game. And you have different potions that you can earn and then use for, like, I believe special abilities like and stuff. So it was a really fun game. Again, you know, I played it at PAX Unplugged, so I don't remember the specifics now, but it was a lot of fun. And I played a 2-player game of it. I would like to play it at a higher player count. I just remember I really, really enjoyed it. And I really thought I was gonna win. So at the end, I just needed to get one more wizard into Raven's Keep, and the other player was a couple of wizards behind me, but somehow he just managed to get the right cards and use his potions, I guess, correctly, and he managed to win, even though I thought I was really close. He just kept on moving the tower, the Raven's Keep tower, away from me when I was trying to get my last wizard into it. So you can kind of mess with other players in that way as well. There is a bit of a memory element to it as well, just a tiny bit. So you may have to remember where some of your wizards are because they can get covered by certain towers. And if you happen to move a tower and it turns out that your wizard wasn't underneath it like you thought he was, well, too bad. You can't undo your move then. So you basically just wasted a move trying to uncover a wizard so that you can, because you can move towers on top of towers and then cover up wizards. So you need to try to then move towers that are covering your wizards so that you can then move your wizards along and hopefully stick them into Raven's Keep. So that was a really fun game. I really enjoyed that. I played Far Away again, so I believe I have 5 plays of Far Away now, and finally I have some good scores in Far Away. Like, I just kept on sucking at this game so bad, but Far Away is a really interesting card game. So I've discussed it in a video before, so I highly recommend it. Let me just double check who the designer is in case you guys are interested. So it's a 2023 game designed by Johannes Guppy and Corentin Lebrat, and it's published by Catch Up Games. So it's for 2 to 6 players, and it came out in 2023. So again, a very interesting kind of set collection kind of game in which you're placing your cards from left to right, but scoring them from right to left, which is much more difficult than you think, because the way in which you place cards based on their numbers and the way in which you get these like scoring bonuses, it's, you know, it makes it difficult to try to place your cards in such a way that you can get those scoring cards that will help you and then hopefully score your cards when you reveal them from right to left. It's a very interesting, highly recommend this game. So I've now played it a total of 5 times, and finally I think I'm starting to get good at it. I'm just really, really highly recommend this game. It's got amazing artwork and it's just very interesting. So it's a very interesting, good card game. Another game I had played recently, which was now not super recently, now it's been a long time, is Septima. So I played Septima with the Shapeshift expansion. I believe I did that on my birthday, in fact. So now I've played the full game once without the expansion, and now I've played it another time with the expansion, which is the animals. I didn't find it super different with the animals. I'm not sure that it's, you know, the animals add too much to the game. They just allow you to switch into an animal, but then it limits the kinds of actions you can take, but then you are protected from the hunters. So when you're an animal, you're protected from the hunters, which is a bonus, but you're then limited to the number of actions you can take on your turn until you return into a witch. So yeah, so it was good with the Shapeshift expansion. I think I would always play it with the Shapeshift expansion because it's not like it takes away from the game. It does, you know, you do have to substitute substitute one of the cards in the game with the shapeshift card instead. So it doesn't take a whole lot away from the game. It just gives you an additional option throughout the game to kind of just turn into an animal and do something a little bit differently. Another game I've played a lot, well, not a lot, I think twice now, which I've never discussed, is Point City. So I guess it's like the successor to Point Salad. It's just an interesting, you know, just a nice little set collection game. It's not one that I feel I need to add to my collection. You know, I'll be happy to play it if someone pulls it out, but it's just a basic, you know, set collection kind of game. So yeah, it's fun. I've enjoyed my 2 plays of it. So those are a lot of the games I've played recently, I think. I will try to discuss Pollen in the next video since I forgot to bring it out here, but I will actually show Pollen and talk about how it plays, and hopefully in my next video, which is an all-play game. But yeah, so let's move on to the next sections of my video. Okay. So I am still not backing anything, which, you know, I'm quite proud of myself, but again, it's been quite slow on Kickstarter as well, so maybe that's nothing to really be proud of. I guess there's not really too many games. I don't really check GameFound, but maybe there are some games on GameFound, but again, the games that come on GameFound are usually not the kind of games that I'm interested in, so not backing anything, so I'll just show some stuff that arrived. So first, I want to show the stuff that arrived from the friend of this channel, Arthur. So he sent me this really cool thing. You can't see it right now, but it actually has my logo printed on this. Maybe if I bring it up closer, you can see it. But if you put it up against a bright light, then it shows my logo much more clearly. That is really cool. So that's a really nice thing. I think that this maybe like little gap here is to stick this on maybe some kind of a light so that you can see my logo. So that was really nice of him to make this for me and send that to me. So that's really cool of him. He also sent me some component holders, which he made for me, which was really nice of him. So I'll just show those. So yeah, so he made these really nice component holders for me, which is really, really nice of him. So definitely looking forward to using these when I play games. So thank you, Arthur. And as mentioned last time, Arthur sent me some games. So this is the game that I will be giving away. I still need to select the winner from the giveaway, which, oops, sorry, getting a phone call. Let me just end that. So I still need to select the winner, which I haven't done yet, but I will be doing that. So the winner will get this brand new copy of 9 Lives, which comes with the upgraded cats, of course. And then he also sent me another game, which is called Sweet and Spicy. So I don't know anything about Sweet and Spicy, so let me just look up what kind of a game it is. Sweet and Spicy. So this is a 2022 game designed by Giori Zoltan Gabor. The art is done by Yoon Sung, and it is a hand management game. So it says, once hungry kitty craved to eat, but sadly found no yummy meat. Instead just found some weird spice, scoffed it down, and paid the price. From prickling hot sensation came the grand idea for this sweet game. So it kind of reminds me of my little Zeytoon. My cat Zeytoon is such a food goblin. Like, oh my God, I cannot eat anything with him without him, you know, sticking his paws in my food, trying to lick or eat whatever I'm eating. He is insane. So what I started doing recently is I now make a little tiny plate of human food for him. Like whatever I'm eating, I'll put a little bit of it on his own tiny plate and give that to him, so he leaves me alone while I'm eating. As long as it's not toxic. So as long as it's something that's not toxic for cats, he gets his own tiny little plate of human food. So whatever I'm eating, he'll get his own plate, because otherwise I just cannot eat in peace. So far, he's like licked the whipped cream off of the top of a drink of mine. He's like licked a burrito, like, and this is me just trying to like continuously like move my plate and like prevent him from like getting to my food, but you know, he would still manage to do this. So he licked a burrito. He has stuck his paws in food of mine. He's just such a little food goblin. So yeah, so you know, that just reminds me a lot of Zeytoon, who, yeah, I think it's because, you know, I rescued him from a cat colony. So I think before I started feeding them cat food, they were probably like, you know, fighting for human food scraps. So you can tell he's kind of like, you know, I'm gonna have to get scissors to open this later, but you can see the cute cat artwork. But yeah, so I think that that's why Zeytoon is a little food goblin, because, you know, he had to fight for food when he was a stray kitten. So that's why he's a little food goblin, even though he gets all the cat food he wants now, but still he has to try to get the human food that I'm eating. So that arrived from Arthur. So again, Arthur, thank you so much for these games. I'm looking forward to playing this one. And of course, as you know, I already have this one, but thank you so much for agreeing to give away this game to a winner that I will select after I'm done shooting this video, in fact. Something that arrived from Tabletop Tycoon. So they sent a holiday card, which was really nice. It said, may your days be bonny and bright. And just like last year, I didn't show last year, but they sent some cards that could be used with Everdell. So this year they sent some cards that can be used with Far Shore. So I believe these are Far Shore cards, just looking at the outside of them. So that's really nice of them to do for content creators, just to kind of send them a little gift in the holidays. It's like the only publisher that I get anything from on the holidays. so that's really nice. So it's nice of them to, you know, still consider me and send me a nice little present like that during the holidays. So that stuff arrived. And then I forgot to show this in a previous video, but I am covering Spire's End Rangitaki for its Kickstarter that is coming out later in January. So I'll just show you some of the components. So this game actually comes with a board. So board looks like this, just a very basic board. And again, as mentioned previously, this has a tiki theme to it. So again, this is a prototype version, so all of these components are subject to change, so please keep that in mind. So it comes with some dice. So it comes with two big, what do you call those? 20, well actually one's a D20, one's I guess a D10, and then these special dice, these health trackers that are custom made, I guess, with the hearts and stuff. So it comes with 3 of those. And then it comes with a bunch of different little tokens and stuff. So I'm not going to show those, but just some plastic tokens. And then let me just show you. So again, all the artwork for this game is not yet completed. I know that there are some spoilers, so I'm just going to kind of very briefly, I'll just show you a couple. So just very quickly, just show you some of the artwork. So again, you know, the artwork for this game is not yet completed, so they still have more artwork to do, but I really, really love the whole tiki theme. I think it's really, really cool. So I'm looking forward to playing this and then covering it for its Kickstarter. So I did back the, now I cannot remember, Spire's End. It was not the original. Why can I not remember now what it was called, but it was the more Halloween-esque looking one, the autumn one. For some reason, the name just escapes me now, which is terrible, but I had backed that on Kickstarter. And then finally, I will show you something that arrived, which is a Kickstarter I had backed, if I could just get this cover on. So yeah, the cover slides on, which is nice. It's a sliding on cover. And then finally, I had backed the expansion to Canvas, and then I backed some of the deluxe components, which I did not get the first time around. I backed it on Kickstarter, so I can show that to you. So let's see if I can open this up. Okay, there we go. So I absolutely love Canvas. In the year that I got my first base game that I had backed, it was, I think, like high up in my top 10 games of that year. I absolutely love Canvas. I do not recommend hanging this box up. I just think it's not, you know, something that's strong enough to stay hung up, but I love how all the boxes go together and create like one big scene of artwork, which I absolutely love. And, you know, of course, there's always the painful part of having to pull off all of the plastic film from each single card, but I will be doing that later, I guess. But let me just show you some of the components. Oh, so it comes with these cool frames. That's nice. It's nice to finally have some frames to like display the artwork that you create. So I guess you maybe stick that underneath a frame or something. So just a bunch of different cards. So, you know, so I guess, you know, there's just and different kinds of scoring cards, I guess. Sleeves and stuff like that. So some more frames. Oh yeah, so I think these go under, oh yeah, these do go underneath the frame. So like so that way the frame can stay up. So that's cool. So that way it'll just stay standing. You can put your artwork in there. An updated score pad, and it comes with these nice, so again, I backed it with the deluxe components now. So it comes with these like plastic, I think they're plastic, or are they wood? I can't tell. Ribbons, and then I added on all of the deluxe components from the previous games, which I did not get before, so I can show those to you as well. Toffee's been sitting there the whole time. He is being such a good boy. I'm surprised. He's usually so naughty when I play games and is always just knocking everything over and stuff. So he is just being so good. So yeah, let me just show you the various components. So yeah, so I went and backed all of the deluxe components. So it came with some of these easels and then all of the wooden ribbons, which I did not have before. So before I only had the cardboard ones. So finally I have the nice wooden ones now. I think they're wood instead of plastic. So that arrived. So I'm really looking forward to playing with the expansion. I love Canvas so freaking much. It's such a fun game. I absolutely love creating the different art pieces. I think I'm always more focused on creating the art pieces than I am actually scoring well. So I'll always like get a very bad score when I play Canvas. So I think that that's all that arrived. So let's move on. Okay, so let's talk about updates and stuff. I don't think I have any channel updates. I might try to redo my Ko-fi tier memberships. So I've lost a couple Ko-fi members, but I still have 3 at like the level that are able to are eligible for giveaways. So up until today, I've given a number of games away. So like, for example, I've given away brand new copies of Crescent Moon. God, so many games. I can't even remember all the games I've given away now, but I give away some really cool games. So, like Porto, I've given away some really nice games. It's really hard. I've also given away some really nice pre-production copies. So if a pre-production copy is really nice, I've done the giveaways for those. So for example, I've given away Wayfarers, I've given away Scholars of the South Tigris. I've given away some really nice deluxe Kickstarters that I've received. So yeah, so I've done a number of giveaways. So if you back at the level that's $15 or above per month, then you are eligible for these giveaways. So if that's something you might be interested in, just feel free to check it out. I'm planning on redoing my Ko-fi levels since I don't really have many subscribers, and I just want to redo the whole thing and just see what I come up with. So maybe check it out later in January if you're interested in maybe entering at a level or subscribing at a level where you might be eligible for some giveaways. Maybe I'll indicate on my Ko-fi page which games I've given away, since my memory is really bad right now, but I've given away some pretty cool games, so I think I will do that. So yeah, so I think I'll redo my Ko-fi memberships. Oh, updates, cats. So I spent my Christmas day assembling 2 shelters. So I had a fundraiser for cats, and I raised a good amount of money to buy 2 new shelters. So I assembled those on Christmas Day and then put them out in their location. So I'll just throw up some pictures here. On Christmas Day, it was like 55 degrees and sunny. It felt like spring, so it was the perfect day for me to do something meaningful for the cats. So it was really nice to assemble the shelters and then put them in their locations in the 2 colonies. So I did that on Christmas Day. So thank you to everyone who has donated. As I've stated before, it's an ongoing expense. I spend like $300 a month on cat food. The wet food alone costs $200 each month. So if you would like to help some cats in need, I'm always accepting donations. I still want to reach out to maybe some larger channels and see if they would be willing to do like a fundraiser event with me to try to raise money for these cats, because eventually I do want to also buy them a winter feeding station. So I want to buy them a station that has like a cover above it to protect their food and water, and so that they can stay dry and keep their paws dry as well while they're eating. So that is a goal of mine. So those are more expensive, these really big like winter feeding stations, but I would like to raise money for those. So that is a goal of mine. Let's just move on. I guess before I move on, I just, will of course mention Palestine as we go into the new year, because you guys will be watching this video on New Year's Day, probably, as that's when it's coming up. We are going on 3 months now of a genocide with so many people killed, over 20,000 people killed, over 10,000 kids. And it's still very, very disappointing that so many people in this industry who are praised as being, human rights champions in this industry, like Rodney Smith and Eric Lang and Suzanne Sheldon and so many others, who have still not condemned this genocide, who have still not said a single word, and yet they are very vocal about other human rights issues. So, they're still sending the message that Arab lives and Muslim lives don't mean shit, and they are still, sending the message that money from their Zionist publisher friends means more to them. So again, going into the new year, I hope that people will be mindful of, just really giving admiration and praise where it's not due. One thing I've learned since this genocide began is that there are so many influencers And I'm not talking about board game influencers. I'm talking about like fashion influencers, travel influencers, and stuff like that, who just are not worth my time. Like, you know, it was just really disappointing to me to see influencers who I used to follow in fashion and travel and stuff like that, who have been vocal about other issues, but have just been completely silent about the genocide. And it just, you know, it was just very disappointing to me. So I stopped following them, and I realized that there are just more important things in life than, you know, following the content of these creators who have shown their true colors, and that they don't really care when, you know, when things are affecting Muslims or brown people in certain parts of the world, when they have been vocal about Black Lives Matter and other issues. So you can really see the double standards and the hypocrisy of people. And so I hope that people will be mindful of that in the board game industry as well. So, you know, I've previously discussed Rodney's bullshit video, in which he made a whole video, explaining why he has not condemned the genocide and why he has not called for a ceasefire, which again is complete bullshit. Like, you should not be making a whole video excusing yourself, making excuses for yourself, and then getting praised for this video from a bunch of people who think you're the like greatest person in board gaming. Like, no, that's complete bullshit. And if he had made a video explaining why he won't condemn, you know, police killings of Black people, or why he won't say Black Lives Matter, no one would be praising that video. But because it's about Muslims and Arabs in Palestine, everyone thinks it's perfectly fine for Rodney Smith to make a video explaining why he won't condemn a genocide. I'm just so sick of these double standards, and I'm just so sick of people showing what hypocrites they are in this industry. I think it's really, really sick. And I hope that people will be mindful of this going into the new year. And, you know, going into the new year, and I know people are probably like, oh, but this is overseas. It doesn't affect me if I'm in the US. Your tax dollars are funding this genocide. Like, I'm not sure why people cannot get this into their heads. Israel is sent billions of dollars from the US every year. It's sent all these weapons. Like, the US has made so many weapons deals with Israel since this genocide began, by overriding congressional approval, like by just bypassing that, because the president can do that. So, and our tax dollars are going to Israel and funding free healthcare for them, free education for them, funding this genocide. So if you are living in the US and you're like, oh, it's overseas, it doesn't affect me. Yeah, no, it does affect you. It affects you because it's your money that is being used to fund this genocide. And I don't know about you, but that angers me a lot. Like, as someone who has a shit ton of student debt, as someone who, you know, has, you know, medical expenses and stuff like that, I don't appreciate that my tax dollars are going to Israel, and where they are getting free healthcare and education, when we as Americans are not getting that. Like why should our money be used for another country? Like, that's our hard-earned money, our tax dollars, you know, helping citizens of another country and helping to fund a genocide. So yeah, if you are in the US, you should care. And likewise, if you're in other Western countries who have ties with Israel, I would, if I were you, look into how much money your government sends to Israel, or what kinds of deals they have with Israel to support Israel and the ongoing genocide. So yeah, you should care. And the people who have been silent, like, you know, like Eric Lang and others, you know, they're just hypocrites and sellouts. And I'm just really, really over this industry being like that. So yeah. So that's that. So let's move on to questions of the week. So I'm still going to skip Arthur's question this week because I still haven't come up with a good answer for his question. But I will pose his question to you guys and then hopefully give my answer in the next video. So actually, I did appear on a podcast where I gave an answer, but that was years ago now. So the question that Arthur asked me is, if I could keep only 5 games, which 5 would I keep? You know, it's like kind of like a desert island question. If you could have only 5 games with you on a desert island, which 5 games would you take? Obviously, one of them is going to be Obsession, which is my #1 all-time favorite game, which, you know, I will say is not my most played game. So, you know, if it was my most played game, I'm not sure if it would still be my favorite game, you know, which is an interesting discussion in itself. So, you know, but I think I'd have to have Obsession as one of them, of course. And I forgot to mention in my PAX Unplugged video, but I met Dan Halligan at PAX Unplugged, which I was so excited about. Had my photo taken with him, but the photo is just really terrible, but maybe I'll put it up anyway. But yeah, I was just so excited to meet him. He is such a wonderful person. So if you've never played Obsession, or, you know, seen anything from the designer. He's just an amazing person. He just really cares about his backers. He really cares about the people who buy his games. He's just a really wonderful human being, and it was just so nice to meet him. And when he saw me, he was excited to see me because he knows what a huge fan I've been of his game for many years now. So, you know, I don't want to be like one of those people like, oh, I liked it before it became super popular, but I did. So I liked it way before, and, you know, I think he kind of even credits me to helping get the word out about his game, which, you know, I'm really thankful for. But yeah, I just really, really love the game Obsession because, you know, I'm the kind of person who just really is romantic at heart, and I've always loved, you know, like movies and stories like Pride and Prejudice or Emma, North and South, Wives and Daughters, like just so many, Jane Eyre. Like I'm, you know, there was a time in my life where I was just so obsessed with those period pieces, and I would watch them so much. Like I was just really, really obsessed with them. You know, like Bridgerton, Downton Abbey, like I really love these period pieces. So of course, how could I not love Obsession? So yeah, that's why Obsession is like my favorite game, just because being a romantic and just really loving period pieces, and it's just such a freaking good game, and it's got a lot of variability. So of course Obsession would be one of the 5 games, but I need to think really hard about the other 4 games. So I will hopefully have my answer for you guys next week. So let me know if you could keep only 5 games, which 5 would you keep? Interestingly, I forgot to mention, which I did just briefly mention, I did appear on a podcast. It was called 5 Games for Doomsday. I don't remember the person's name who does that podcast. I want to say it's like Brian or something. I think it begins with a B, but let me just double check. 5 Games for Doomsday. What was his name? The guy who does it. I don't remember his name. Oh, Ben, I think his name is Ben Maddox or something. Oh, Ben Maddox. Yes, his name is Ben Maddox. So I appeared on his podcast back in, I think, 2021, and his whole podcast is about which 5 games would you take on a desert island. I cannot remember which 5 games I chose. I think Obsession was maybe one of them. I remember Petrichor was one, and I think Quacks of Quedlinburg was one. I cannot remember what the other 2 were. So I want to go back and listen to my podcast episode on 5 days for games 5 games for Doomsday. There we go, if I could actually talk, and you know, see how my answers may have changed from 2021. So I think that that would be something interesting to do. So I think I'll do that. I think I'll go listen to my podcast and see what my new answer would be. So yeah, so let me know what your 5 games would be that you would have for Doomsday or on a desert island, or if you could just only keep 5 games, which I know is super, super duper hard, what your 5 games would be. Please let me know in the comments below. And oh, I forgot to mention, so yeah, I am hopefully going to do a top 10 video for 2023. You know, I kind of feel like it's not, you know, the best thing for me to do because, you know, as a content creator, I don't get to play games multiple times, and I still come out with these lists for like, oh, top 10 games, even if, you know, and there might be a game on that list that I played only once, but I loved it so much. So, you know, I will of course include that, you know, in the description, and you know, I'll make a disclaimer before I release a top 10 video, just saying that, you know, so just take my top 10 with a grain of salt when that finally does come out. But yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful new year. So until next time, bye.